1, 2, 3, and hello my 420 Spot family, hope all is well. And in the news today, veterans and cannabis, here is the story. The new congressional bill would allow veterans to talk to VA doctors about medical marijuana therapy. Representative Seth Moulton, DMA, is introducing legislation to give veterans the chance to talk about medical marijuana without being afraid of losing federal benefits. As part of the legislation, VA doctors are allowed to discuss medical cannabis with their patients, as well as veterans who are candid about their history with marijuana treatment. Thus, it would enshrine these policies into law, making it impossible for future VA leaders to change them administratively. As the bill's text states, veterans participating in state legal cannabis programs will not be disqualified from VA care and services. Despite that, the proposed legislation specifies that people cannot use or consume marijuana on VA property, even when it is legal in their state, though that would be repealed if the federal prohibition were lifted. Veterans are twice as likely to die from an opioid overdose as civilians. It is crucial that medical marijuana be accepted as a safe, non-addictive option for chronic pain relief among veterans, Moulton said in a press release. Veterans choose to serve our country, and many will have to deal with health issues resulting from their service. It is our responsibility to ensure that returning service members can live free of pain and anxiety. VA practitioners are required in the proposal to honor the wishes of their patients who wish to seek alternative forms of treatment, although there is no explicit provision to allow VA doctors to recommend veterans participate in state medical cannabis programs, as had been the case in separate, previously filed legislation. According to the bill text, the VA recognizes medical cannabis use as a legitimate alternative treatment, and the VA physician will not recommend veterans for drug addiction treatment solely due to their medicinal cannabis use. Department medical providers will annotate a veteran's cannabis use in the medical record of the veteran in order to have the information available in treatment planning. As with all clinical information, this is part of the confidential medical record and protected under patient privacy and confidentiality laws and regulations. Department medical providers will not record that a patient has a marijuana addiction problem in their medical record if the patient is responsibly using medicinal cannabis. As well as providing medical marijuana treatment options, VA doctors would be able to adjust treatment plans as necessary. And those adjustments should be relevant, and a veteran should be able to seek a second opinion if they feel the change is not fair. In addition, researchers are instructed to conduct cannabis research with regulatory approval, even though VA providers are governed by federal law. This provision seems to codify existing VA policies, as the department has allowed some research into cannabis to treat certain conditions common to the veteran population, but advocates are trying to have more done. VA doctors are not permitted to discourage participation in non-department medicinal cannabis research, the bill says. Furthermore, Moulton's legislation outlines guidelines for veteran surveys that the VA secretary would be required to implement with respect to issues such as dosage, frequency of use, and types of marijuana that veterans are consuming. VA would also be required to provide its doctors with initial training in the use of medical cannabis in partnership with medical schools that have incorporated medical cannabis education into their curricula. The congressman has introduced legislation concerning veterans and cannabis in past sessions. For example, in 2019, he introduced 3 bills concerning medical marijuana for military veterans. In a separate hearing last week, both the House and Senate committees heard from veterans service organizations, VSOs, on how Congress and the federal government can better serve their constituents, and several of the groups mentioned the need to relax restrictions on marijuana. VA representatives have pushed back against veteran service organizations at past hearings on veterans and marijuana-related legislation by asserting that VA researchers are already studying the therapeutic potential of cannabis. However, advocates say the research is too often focused on the negative effects of marijuana consumption. The sponsor of one key VA research bill, Representative Lou Correa, DCA, said that he talked with VA Secretary Dennis McDonough about marijuana and veterans at the end of the session. That gave advocates hope that the department would back modest reforms this session. According to a VA researcher, people with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, who use marijuana experience fewer symptoms and recover more quickly compared to those who do not. Veteran officials said in September that the VA is very closely monitoring research into the therapeutic benefit of psychedelics such as MDMA for veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder. According to a 2020 report from a federal commission charged with developing recommendations to improve mental health treatment for veterans, Congress and the executive branch should promote research into the therapeutic potential of marijuana and psychedelics such as psilocybin mushrooms and MDMA. In a letter to McDonough, a bipartisan coalition of lawmakers said the department must urgently introduce a policy change to ensure that military veterans can access cannabis for therapeutic use. McDonough mentioned in the letter that VA officials in a veterans DQ&AMP are looking at the possibility of an internal policy change and have spoken with the White House and Department of Justice about it. He also said he has been touched by stories from veterans who have found relief using medical marijuana. In other news, the Portland VA branch has partnered with a university in Oregon on a new website designed to assist healthcare providers in discussing marijuana use with patients. That is why we have started a nonprofit for veterans to help transition into civilian life. RapidMentalHealingForVeterans.org. Our mindset at Rapid Mental Healing for Veterans is to improve the quality of life for all veterans and their families. The goal of our organization is to ensure that every veteran and family member can receive high-quality care that allows them to lead fulfilling and productive lives. Mental wounds can be just as difficult to heal as physical wounds, and they should be treated just as seriously. Your donations are needed to build a solid foundation to last for decades to come. Thank you for watching this video everyone, have a great day. Video by my420spot.com